In the early 1920s, in the busy city of Tokyo, a quiet and gentle professor named Hachiko Ueno lived a simple life dedicated to teaching and research. Every morning, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of gold, a golden retriever named Max would slowly walk up the path toward one particular gravestone. People in the town had begun to notice him months ago. At first, they thought he was simply a stray wandering around. But day after day, rain or sunshine, Max returned to the same place. He would sit beside the grave, his tail curled around his paws, staring silently at the name carved in stone. Sometimes he would gently place a flower there, one he carried carefully in his mouth from the nearby meadow. The townspeople whispered about him, wondering who he belonged to and why he seemed so devoted to that single grave. What they didn't know was that beneath the stone lay the man who had once saved Max's life. Years earlier, Max had been a frightened puppy abandoned on a roadside during a storm. Cars rushed past while the tiny dog shivered in fear. Just when it seemed like no one would stop, an elderly man named Daniel pulled over. He wrapped the puppy in his coat, spoke to him softly, and took him home. From that moment on, Max never left Daniel's side. The old man and the dog became inseparable companions, sharing quiet mornings, long walks, and endless moments of trust. To Daniel, Max was more than a pet, he was family. And to Max, Daniel was his whole world. For years, the pair became a familiar sight in town. Daniel walked slowly with his cane while Max trotted proudly beside him, always alert, always protective. Children loved to pet Max, and shopkeepers would smile when they saw the loyal dog waiting patiently outside stores for his owner. But time, as it always does, began to take its toll on Daniel. His steps grew slower, his breath shorter. Max seemed to sense the changes before anyone else did. He stayed closer than ever, often resting his head gently on Daniel's knee as if trying to comfort him. One cold winter evening, Daniel's health suddenly worsened. The town doctor came, neighbors gathered, and Max sat quietly near the bed, watching every movement with worried eyes. When Daniel reached out his hand for the last time, Max placed his paw in it, as if promising something words could never express. That night, Daniel passed away peacefully. The house became silent in a way that felt almost unbearable. The following week, the townspeople attended Daniel's funeral on the hill under the oak tree. Max watched everything from a distance, confused but calm. When everyone left, however, he slowly walked up to the fresh grave and sat down. Hours passed. Evening came. But Max did not move. From that day forward, something remarkable happened. Every single morning, Max returned to that grave. No one taught him to do it. No one asked him to stay. Yet somehow, the dog understood that the person he loved most was resting there. Months turned into seasons, yet Max's routine never changed. In spring, when wildflowers bloomed, he would pick one and gently place it on the gravestone. In summer, he would lie in the shade of the oak tree, watching the horizon as if expecting Daniel to appear on the path again. During autumn, leaves covered the grave, and Max carefully pushed them aside with his nose. And in winter, when snow blanketed the ground, the loyal dog would curl beside the stone to keep it company through the cold. The townspeople began bringing him food and water, touched by the silent devotion they witnessed every day. Some even tried to adopt him, offering warm homes and soft beds. but Max always returned to the hill. His loyalty was not something that could be replaced. To him, Daniel was not just a memory, he was a bond that time could never erase. One afternoon, a young boy named Ethan approached the graveyard with his mother. The boy had recently lost his own father and struggled to understand why someone he loved could disappear forever. When Ethan saw Max sitting beside the grave, he asked his mother why the dog kept coming back. She knelt beside him and said softly, "Because love doesn't disappear when someone leaves. Sometimes it stays longer than we do." The boy slowly walked up to Max and placed his small hand on the dog's head. Max looked at him gently, as if recognizing the same sadness in the child's eyes. Years later, the story of Max spread far beyond the small town. Visitors would come to see the loyal dog who never forgot his best friend. Some brought flowers, others simply stood quietly, moved by the powerful reminder of unconditional love. Yet Max never seemed to notice the attention. Every day, he did the same simple thing. He sat beside Daniel's grave, watching the sunrise and waiting peacefully. One morning, the townspeople arrived to find Max lying beside the stone, unusually still. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. The dog who had shown everyone the true meaning of loyalty had quietly passed away in the very place he had guarded for years. The town buried Max beside Daniel under the same oak tree, placing a small statue of a golden dog between the two graves. Beneath it, they carved a message: "True loyalty never fades." Visitors still come to that hill today, not just to see the graves, but to remember the story. Because in a world where promises are often broken and love sometimes fades, the story of Max proves something powerful: a dog's loyalty is pure, unwavering, and eternal. And anyone who hears the story walks away with the same thought in their heart: maybe the greatest friend a person can ever have is a dog. Dog Red Heart.